Welcome back to another episode of SwansCast podcast. I'm joined this week by Lee once again, as always.
Hello.
Welcome, Lee. You sound very dejected after your travels on the weekend.
Yeah, it was a bit of a flat one, to be honest. I mean, West Brom's usually a good hunting ground for us, especially the last couple of times that I've been as well. And we had a bit of a flat day, but we'll get on to that.
I mean, yeah, we'll get on to it. You say flat, but I feel like it was an exciting game, especially if you're a neutral. You could have had a worse away day.
Oh yeah, it was, as an away day goes, it's not bad, but result didn't get a result.
Didn't get a result. So yeah, of course, we're going to talk about Swansea's trip up to the Midlands, where they took on West Brom. Bit of a Midlands start to the season, really, isn't it? I know we're not away for all of the games, but Birmingham, West Brom, Coventry is the first three.
Yeah.
That's bit of a theme going on there. So we'll talk about the game. We're gonna obviously talk about everything in there. There's 5 goals to talk about, comeback, a penalty, quite a lot of talking points there. A couple of new signings this week, one of which we obviously saw in action for a cameo off the bench in the West Brom games. We could talk a little bit about him, as well as finally we have signed a left back. So I mean, we've been calling out for it for a while, so obviously we're going to have a little bit of a chat there. An announcement finally about Cham leaving and some other links as well with transfers potentially coming in and out. We got some information ahead of the Bournemouth Cup tie, just for anyone that's looking to go down. We're going to carry on with our 3 up, 3 down, a new feature we started last week at the start of the season, where we've only got Lee doing it at the moment because I've been a bit naff with the organisation, but Lee's going to give us 3 positives and 3 negatives across the championship. So it's our way of touching, I guess, on the great the league as a whole rather than just Swansea, to try and keep more of an update on the championship as part of the podcast as well, so we know where we are and what's going on across the league, in line with our match previews that we have obviously started again this season as well. And also, we're going to try something else as well and touch on something that's outside of the championship. And the big football headline this week is Harry Kane. So we're going to give our 2 cents on that at the end, or 2 pence, whatever the saying is. But yeah, let's get straight into it then. That's the agenda. So what I'll try and do going forward, because I know there's been different viewpoints in the comments on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching on Spotify, you probably don't have this luxury. But if you're watching on YouTube and you're interested in a certain section, I'll try and remember to put on timestamps in the video. So if you're interested in a certain part of the conversation, maybe you don't care about us talking about Harry Kane, for example, but you can jump between each one rather than having to listen to the full thing. So if you just want to hear about the game, obviously you can jump straight to that. Skip past the introduction if it's too long for you. And hopefully everybody will be happy then. You'll have the option there for everyone. So yeah, let's get straight on to West Brom against Swansea. So as you mentioned, Lee, you headed up to this one. Unfortunately, I couldn't get it off work, which I was a bit frustrated about, but maybe I wasn't frustrated afterwards. But if you want to maybe tell us about your away day experience.
Yeah, not bad. West Brom's always one of the favourite ones to go. As we know, we always go to the Vine beforehand, which is I think it's the best away day pub. We had a curry. I did notice that they mentioned it in the Swans on the website. They mentioned it this time. I don't know if they have before as an away day.
It's not a hidden gem anymore.
I don't know if they've mentioned it before, but I know a lot of Swans fans got turned away. We got there quite early, so we got in.
It was full, was it?
It was full, and a lot of Swans fans got turned away in the end. So that's just one to watch out for. But no, nice close one for us. I was thinking about this as well. On the way back, let's jump in a bit. On the way back, we were listening to the radio and we were listening to Villa fans who travelled up to Newcastle, and they lost 5-1, and they're all moaning and saying, "Oh, it's a 3.5-hour journey to Newcastle. We've all gone up and they put on a rubbish performance." I was like, 3.5 hours is like a close one for us. So I think just
That's
a word out. No, I know exactly.
Newcastle's miles away. I mean,
yeah, and you think in the Midlands, Midland teams, the Swans is probably one of their furthest ones to go, coming down far into Wales.
That's the place to be for away days, based in the Midlands, isn't it?
Yeah, I know they got
everywhere's within the best time.
Yeah, exactly. So I think hats off again to Swans fans. Another 2,000. I know it's a nice, it's a close one for us, relatively close. But I think compared to other teams, we do travel quite well, don't we? I think I read somewhere like per mile, we were like second best travel team in the championship last year behind Sunderland, I think.
I saw some tier list the other day saying about away fans and their following to away games last season, and Swans were in the category of should do better or like do better.
Nah.
And I was just like, you haven't taken into context here the length of travel. It's easy for you to like an away day for Coventry to Birmingham and West Brom is like 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we think about, like you said,
one is an hour, pretty much.
Yeah, well, apart from Cardiff, everything's at least 2.5 hours.
Cardiff, I mean, 45 minutes to an hour. Traffic on the match day obviously be a bit higher, and there's bubble in it. It's bubbles. So
yeah, it's not an hour. It's about 4 days.
The closest one is Cardiff, and it's not even an hour.
Yeah, it takes about 4 days.
Bristol's like an hour and a half, isn't it? So that's probably next.
But yeah, and then apart from the Midlands teams, everything's a good travel. But so I think we travel well. It annoys me when people say, "Oh, you only took 500 to Preston on a Tuesday night." It was like, yeah, that's a hell of a trek for us, but not so much of a trek for teams in Birmingham. So there we go. That's just something I noticed. But in terms of the game, if we want to get onto that, I think for neutral it was brilliant. I think 5 goals, probably the worst defensive game we've ever seen in the history of the championship from both sides. I think it was a bit of a mental one, but
before we get on to the goals, I need to ask an important question before we move past it.
Go on.
What did you eat in the Vine?
I was boring. I had my chicken tikka masala again.
What, with chips or what?
With chips, naan bread, rice.
The naan was banging.
The naan was brilliant.
Naan.
I always have a Peshwari naan. I do.
All right.
Peshwari naan all the way.
I can't have it because usually got almonds in it.
I Peshwari naan all the way.
Have a vote in the comments, guys. Peshwari naan, garlic naan, plain naan, keema naan. I do like a keema naan.
Peshwari naan.
Keema or garlic, I go for. I don't know what other option is. Cheesy one. I don't know if anyone has that. It's always on the menu. I'm just like, who's having that for the curry? Someone's got some cheesy naan now in the comments.
I did double up and have we went back there after the game as well, and I had chicken tikka from the grill. I was stunning as well.
Was it a different menu after the game?
No, they are from 6 o'clock. It's like a different menu. It's the full menu. They do a match day menu up till 6 o'clock, and then after.
I need to come next. I got everything just for the Vine. Like, I don't care about the game.
It's the food.
Just want to go for the Vine. Anyway, yeah. So the game, 5 goals. I was listening to a lot of it on the radio after I finished my shift, and it just sounded. And again, watching it back, like I wrote in my notes. It's like we were threat from set pieces, but also couldn't defend them at the same time.
Oh, I've never seen anything like it. The first goal we conceded was horrific. There's like 3 West Brom heads on it from a long throw.
Yeah,
and then the goal scorer has a free volley 6 yards out, untouched. It's just some of the worst defending I've seen. With I think the 3 centre halves all go in to win the first header. And then they're all out of the game. Then they don't win it, and then they're all out of the game. It was just horrendous.
Why is there 3 people going in for the first ball? Are they like are they zonal marking or something?
I don't know. I know it was absolute carnage in it.
I know Duff wasn't happy, was he?
No. But we'll come on to it. But I liked his interview after the game. I like what he said.
I mean, was it like, did he not call him out like Russell Martin used to, and he done like that?
No, but he didn't call any specific individuals out. He just said that, the defending from set pieces is not good enough. And he said historically it's been a problem with this club and we've got to sort it out.
Yeah.
And so, I like that he touched on that. I think he's identified that it is a problem. I know when you come on to the second goal as well, that was horrendous as well. It was just a complete mix-up, chaos. I'm not even sure a West Brom player's even involved.
It pinballs off like 3 of our defenders, and then it's the keeper's head and goes in.
Yeah, it's
like, what's that all about?
It's so bad.
It's a bit like, so the first goal I would say is completely bad defending. You can't Like, it's fine if you miss the first ball, got to make that second ball, and then like the third one to just be like land at his feet to volley it in. It's just shocking, and it's inexcusable, really.
Yeah.
But whatever, 1-0 at half time wasn't the end of the world when you're away. You know that you can work with that. Come back at West Brom last year from when we were 2-1 down. But that second one, like, it wasn't even a good corner. It was a bit of a fluky goal, but also someone just needs to clear it. Just like, you can't all just like not realize what's going on for it to pinball. Yeah, it is unlucky. It is unlucky, but like, at what point do you just say you just got to do better at this level if you're going to be successful in it? Like, someone just needs to take ownership.
Well, it's cost us the game at the end of the day. I mean, the defending and that, because I'll say, I don't think West Brom are a good side either. They didn't really work hard for their goals. Normally you look at a team and you think, we deserve to be down. As bad as we were, and I think we were awful, especially in the first half. I don't think West Brom were any better. It's just poor defending from set pieces.
Yeah.
That'll cost us. And I mean, easily could have been a draw, even though we were that bad. I don't think West Brom were that good anyway. You can't gift goals away like we did.
So obviously I caught up with West Brom fan before the match in the match preview series. If you're unaware of those, and obviously listening to Spotify, head over to YouTube. They don't get uploaded to Spotify because they're not like podcasts. They're just shorter videos where I'm catching up with fans that make content like us for other clubs. The idea is, if you're going into this match blind and you don't really keep up with the other clubs in the league, you have a little bit more of an insight into what's going on in their camp. It's not a preview of me talking about how Swans will play against how they will play. I'm just there to get information off them about the other team. And he was telling me that, he was quite worried about this game and he thinks West Brom are in a really bad place.
Yeah.
And I do, like, as much as when I saw us 3-0 down with no context, just seeing it work, I was a bit like, yeah, okay, whatever. He's talking rubbish. He led us all on. But then when you watch it and you watch the way we came back as well, he was right in everything he was saying. We just, like, missed a massive opportunity and didn't get going early enough to, like, actually put them under pressure. And if we had played... I'll talk about the formation later. I think we need to start forward the back from a start. But if we had actually, like, gone at them from the beginning, I think they would have buckled. Like, they as soon as they had a bit of what's the word? It wasn't going their way, basically. As soon as it wasn't going their way and they had a little bit of defending to do, they just couldn't cope with it. And ultimately, like, I don't know if we were overall poor in our game. Maybe we didn't get going in the first half, but defensively, like, they scored them 2 set pieces, which is just 2 moments of being crap. In those 2 moments, it wasn't like they battered us for the first full half.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, you're spot on. And when we were like in the pub before the game and walking over to the stadium, it was nice. We'd chat with a couple of West Brom fans, and when the teams came out, they were really down about it. They were really concerned. They said there was no recognised striker on the pitch starting. I think they had Josh Madger on the bench, but they had no recognised striker starting the game. And a lot of them said, "Oh, you're gonna beat us today. It's definitely, we're really, really worried about this. We're really, and then, like you said, we just absolutely just gifted a 3-0 lead, really.
Yeah.
And then you're leaving yourself an uphill battle. But you are right. As soon as we started applying real pressure, they completely folded. I think we were unlucky not to get a draw. And Cabango had a chance. We had so many.
We hit the bar. Yates.
Yates hit the bar 2-0, and that would have changed the game. That would have massively changed the game if we went to 2-1. They obviously went up then in the other end 3-0, but I think we probably deserved a draw in the end because they were equally as bad as defending as we were.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit of as bad as we were, it was still frustrating not to get a point.
I think it's early days in Duff in it, and there's obviously transition between the way that Martin wanted to play and Duff wants to play. And you can see he gets frustrated a bit sometimes that some of the decision making is more akin to what they've developed over the last 2 years under Russell Martin, and that's to be expected this early on. And I'm wondering if it is some of these teething issues are to do with that. You can obviously only use them as an excuse for so long, but it did take him a month or two to get going at Barnsley. I think by Christmas they started proper picking up. So, you know,
It's
it
going
is
to
to
take
be
time.
expected. I guess like defending set pieces, if they're coming in with these new ideas, maybe there is a bit of miscommunication and
Yeah, of
confusion
course it
in
is.
the early days.
Yeah.
And I guess benefit of the doubt, we put this game down to that. But that you just want to see improvement now going forward. And I see, like you said, the interview from Duff was like quite vocal and to the point on it, direct, and that's good. So hopefully you'll see the results of that coming forward.
I
Now,
like what he said.
yeah. So like that's what I mean. So hopefully now you'll see that on a pitch though, like the
Yeah.
small actions
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make that better. Because obviously they made it better in the other half as well. We'll talk about that in a second. So hopefully you just get the defending a bit better, and it's just down to organisation and communication, and someone taking ownership of the ball that's coming in, isn't it, and deal with
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
if nobody's doing that and it's confusion, that's why 3 heads from the other team end up getting on it, because you're all off a yard off the pace already before you know the other person's already beaten you to it. The penalty then, before we talk about a comeback, absolute stupid. Just what a stupid
Yeah,
tackle
it
from
was,
Harry Darling. I don't understand. He didn't even need to make the tackle. He's going nowhere.
No.
He maybe puts a cross in, but I feel like he's in a position to block it. Well, and if he puts a cross in and like there's other guys there to try and make the block anyway, he's going to make the cross difficult from where he is, and he just lunges in and gets nowhere near the ball. That's like
But
the
you
worst
could,
thing you can do.
yeah, but we were at the other end. The away, as you know, the away ends at the other end of the pitch from there, and you could see it as clear as no complaints whatsoever. It's just why are you diving in and making that tackle? But the thing is with Darling, he's got one of them every game. He did one against Birmingham where, in the end, for the highlight reel, it looks great because he comes flying in, takes man and ball, and it's a great tackle where he just
Oh, it
like
was up in
completely
their
wipes
half,
him
wasn't
out.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but was there any need of that? I mean, if he's off by a millisecond, he's getting a red.
Yeah.
He's got one in him every game.
Yeah, no, he's a bit
And he does that
reckless.
one. There's no need of it.
I don't know. I like Darlin, and when he's good. But he's always a bit. He's a bit like what I used to describe Manning as, and like he's always got that like dodgy moment in him. Manning kind of ironed that out, especially last season. But the season before, you didn't know if he was going to get 2 yellows. Like he was walking that tightrope all the time.
And it's a shame because I think we had just made the changes. I think Patino had just come on. He'd gone to a back four. So if they had just, if he doesn't dive in there, then we start to play, then likely we get a draw or maybe even win the game from there. It's like fine moments in these games like that where, the third goal is obviously the winner in the end. There's just no need for him to make that tackle, and it has cost us.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of plaudits for how he's performed when he's gone to right back, but you don't want that from somebody who's going to be tracking wingers. Like if he's gonna dive in like that, it's like we got Coventry next week. You're gonna look at that and be like, right, get at him if he's playing there. Just take him on in the box because he's gonna just.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's where you're gonna highlight that.
Yeah.
And look, he kind of made up for it. I would, maybe did he? I mean, he did, but also he lost by 1 goal, so.
Yeah.
He done his best at making up for that mistake afterwards, and that's where you see the best of Harry Darling. But got to iron out the mistake.
Defensively in that game, poor, but like going forward, I've never seen anything like it after that penalty when we were 3-0 down. Patino came on and was taking corners. The first 2 corners he took, we scored from. And they were just on Harry Darling's head. And every ball that came into the box after that, Darling won. And I'm not even joking. If we go back and look at the highlights, I remember watching the game in the stadium. I was thinking, Darling's getting his head on this. Darling's getting every single ball.
On the radio that he was winning every single head. He was like possessed after that mistake.
Literally every single ball.
Switch it on.
I've never seen anything like it.
And why?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
How are you all missing these balls in a defensive capacity where we go to be in 2-0 down from set pieces to then go the opposite where you start winning every ball in an offensive capacity? It wasn't just him. Like obviously Wood scored, and there was one cleared off the line, and then we had a bit of pinball and scored for the second goal. Like Darlin's header from the corner directly was a good header into the corner, and then the second goal was a bit Just as
Yeah,
fortunate as West Brom's.
it was a carbon copy though, because I was literally behind the line where Darling scores the first goal, and for the second goal, the corner comes in and it's exactly the same. It's going in the same corner from Darling's header, but it gets cleared off the line, and then it goes back out, and the ball comes back in, and then they score from that. But that's what I mean about him winning everything. And yeah, like you said though, West Brom was so bad defensively. Like you said, like our second goal, they did the same. And there was one before where it got cleared off the line, like you said. So I think if we had enough time to get at them or got at them earlier, they would have cracked. Well, they did crack. We just run out of time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And also then looking at the comeback, we changed to 4 at the back. Second game, I would even say against Plymouth. Not Plymouth. What am I saying Plymouth for? Northampton the other day. We look better, I think, with a back 4 right now. I feel like we look better every time we've done it. I know in the league games it's both been when we chase in, but it just seems to work better, like going forward, especially.
Yeah, look,
and even defending, because the wing backs is what was getting caught out, I think, wasn't it, against West Brom?
Yeah, the problem, like you said, though, I think it is teething problems, but they've got to sort of find something that works quickly, because, like you said, you can't use that excuse, for the rest of the season. But I think the problem is he likes to play 2 up front, or sometimes it looks like 2 behind the striker, because sometimes it looks like it was Ollie Cooper and Perot behind Yates, and sometimes it would be 2 up top with Perot going forward. But when you've got 5 at the back and 2 up top, you kind of sacrifice your midfield. And there was so many times where Grimes and Fulton have the ball in that first half, and they're just no options, because they need some more bodies in midfield, really. And you had Ollie Cooper coming short. You had Ollie Cooper coming deep with his back to goal, and as much as I like Ollie Cooper, he didn't have his best game. I think he was just physically taken out of that game, because he was coming short.
Facing the other way, running.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't his type of game, but he's coming short to get the ball. He was getting muscled off it a lot of times, and we just couldn't get anything going in that first half. They defended us so easily, and we didn't have any answers for it. But then, like you said, when we went to the back 4, you get some extra bodies, and I know we're chasing the game then as well, so the game has changed. But you get extra bodies in that midfield. That, like, Patino came on, he was absolutely brilliant. But then you've got an extra body in midfield where you can have that space. So I don't know. They got to try and find the balance somewhere, because I got to be honest, that first half was so poor. It was the worst I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm on SofaScore right now looking at some of the stats, and Patino's not even listed on the bench on there. They probably didn't have him as part of the squad before. Before kicked off. Obviously, got subbed on for Cooper. Was it
Cooper? Yeah.
Was it Cullen? It says Cullen for Cooper on you, and Janelli for Yates. Who else came off?
He took off Ashby when back 4. Yeah.
I'll speak about him in a minute as well. But I think the defending, the wing backs are quite high up the pitch. So when the midfield's a bit isolated and we lose the ball, they go in diagonal and exploiting a lot of space. Whereas when we have a back 4, we're not really having that problem.
But it depends how he wants to attack, because if he wants the fullback to get forward, then they would have another option, because I think Key gets forward quite well. Like, even though he's playing on the left, he was getting forward quite well. A couple of times in the first half, he got a crossover, and in the second half, where he kind of gets to the byline and causes some trouble.
They still get forward in a back 4, though. It just needs to do one at a time instead of both.
Yeah. So that's just something I think,
because he's still going to have wingers, isn't he? If it was 4 at the back. I just say the observation, it seems to be working a bit better at the moment. That's all.
Oh yeah, twice he's gone to a back 4, and we've played better and we've scored goals. So he's aware of that.
It's one of them things. Everyone's gone to a 5 at the back. We said it when Steve Cooper was here. He changed it to it, and then everyone was doing it. Football goes to phases, doesn't it? Is it maybe time that the 4-3-3 makes a comeback? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
4-3-3 without a cams was like the 2-8s or whatever he's doing. Like 4-1-2-3, something like that.
Yeah. They'll find something. I mean, look, they got players still to come in as well.
Yeah.
We sign more players, and hopefully another one coming in soon. So we're not the finished article at the moment. So I think it's just a case of calm down. It was really, really bad. Look, the first half and then up to the penalty was really, really bad. But he said himself after the game, he said you know, he was frustrated with the way that they were playing, and it's probably habits brought forward from last season. Like you said, he said they were just aimlessly passing around for the sake of it, you know, not creating anything. The tempo was very slow. He said we've got to create our own tempo, and I agree with him. I like what he said. He said there's no point in just passing it around for the sake of it and aimlessly going nowhere, because that was probably one of the criticisms we had last year. It's all well and good having 80% possession, but it's, you know, if you're not going anywhere with it.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the use of subs. So I don't think at Ashby, I know you're going to ask a question potentially at some point for the wing backs, because now we'll talk about it later when we talk about the new signing. I don't know whether it's because he's come with this big reputation and like plaudits of like, oh my god, he's signed an amazing player, but he haven't done it for me yet. I don't know if he's just off the pace, but I
agree with him.
If there's now competition, I think he starts over Ashby. Ashby's been subbed in every game as well, which says he's maybe not 90-minute fit, and I just don't think he's been okay. He just hasn't really, like, there's no excitement there for me yet. Anyway,
no, I agree with you.
Just been kind of doing the job, which is fine. You know, maybe it'll take time, and like I said, it's just because he came with such a fanfare, I think, compared to some of the other ones. There's a massive fuss made over him, and sometimes that's unfortunate for the player, because you get the fans get put an idea in their head, and then you're immediately more disappointed. Where if you didn't know who he is, you're like, oh, he's settling in all right. It'll take time. It's just a different mentality, but I'm sure he'll come good. Just from what I heard, I kind of maybe was expecting more. Maybe I'm being too harsh and critical, and that's fine. But just interesting to see what maybe people would say in the comments about him.
No, I think you're right as well. I agree. There's a lot of when we were trying to pick the team before the game, and you know, I think we put it up on Twitter, and there were a lot of comments about how good the depth has become. Yeah. For a change, I don't know if we'll have people going out the door anyway, but hopefully not. But at the moment, the squad is so competitive, and I think you're right. I think Ashby's been one of them where, I know it's only 2 games in, but I think he hasn't played that well. There's a few other performances as well. Like I said, I don't think Ollie Cooper had his best game, and there's a lot of competition in midfield. I don't think you know, they brought Rushworth in, and I don't know. He made a mistake against Northampton. He made a mistake against Birmingham. He made another couple of mistakes on Saturday. You know, it's not been a great start. Yeah, I know it's a bit harsh, but you know.
No, but like I said,
can't hide away from the mistakes.
We were at the Northampton game, and I was saying to the people we were with, like, everyone slaughtered Fisher for the mistakes he was making, and I'm not saying that he didn't and that he shouldn't get criticism, but you can't not also then have the same standard of expectations then. And I know the only difference is he hasn't been here that long, but the errors that he made, don't know, is that stuff that gets better with time, or was it just errors?
Well, I think the difference is with Fisher is that his mistakes were coming from, like, you know, like goalkeeper mistakes where you know, like the one against like Oxford where someone takes a shot and he should collect it and it goes in, and then there was one against Millwall which was straight at him and it goes in, just like directly leading to a goal. Now I know the Rushworth mistake against Birmingham directly led to a goal, but then there's another 2 or 3 which don't lead to a goal, where they're like distribution mistakes.
Should have.
Well, yeah, he should. And there was one on Saturday where West Brom should have scored in the first half when he made a mistake. Same thing, passed, like, misplaced, passed out, and West Brom were in on the goalkeeper. And his distribution, I think it's just more like Rushworth's distribution than like, you know, his goalkeeper, because I think he's a good goalkeeper. Yeah. I think his distribution's been really poor so far.
Yeah, probably. Good at making saves, but yeah, the other side. But then just put your foot through it, innit? Don't try and be cute. Yeah. So that was the whole
And I think you're right.
Changes.
But I think it's fair. I think it's fair to call it out as well. Like, you know, a mistake in the first game, fair enough. You know, that's fine. But there's been one in every game now. 3 games and 3 mistakes. So, you know, it's got to be called out. And I think you're right as well to say about Ashby. Like, he hasn't played that well yet. It's okay to sort of say that. Well, hopefully they'll all come good, but not yet.
Yeah, but you shouldn't just start because of who he is, which is
Yeah,
what it seems.
yeah, exactly.
He came straight in. Abdullah.
It'll be really
done by.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be really interesting now to see who starts on Saturday, because then we'll have an idea of what's in his thinking. But I hope we're not sort of tied down as well with. I know we got a lot of loan players. I hope that doesn't sort of swing decision making. Or they've got to play so many games. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see who starts on Saturday.
Speaking of good performances, though, Charlie Patino obviously signed on from Arsenal maybe the day before, on loan at Blackpool last year, which he did stand out in the side that got similar to Yates, stood out in the side that got relegated. Arsenal seem to be very eager for his development, like they're quite interested in him. I think he could be good in the future. And he came on and made an instant impact, and on set pieces straight away, as you mentioned earlier, putting them on Darlin's head made a massive difference and helped any chance of a potential comeback. Look good.
Oh, really good. He caused havoc, to be fair, with his deliveries. I think there was only one where he hit the first man. It was and we had so many set pieces in that second half, like towards the end, obviously, because we were playing pressure, and every single one of them was dangerous, apart from maybe one. So that was really exciting because he got a lovely left foot on him, and just his general play as well. He seemed to move. He seemed to get the game going a lot quicker. He seemed to be popping up. He seemed to have a bit more of a free roll. And I know the game's disjointed then when it's 3-0 and we're chasing, but he seemed to be everywhere, like picking it up, moving the ball around. Kind of like what Grimes does, but I think quicker.
Yeah. You think Grimes is probably still in?
So, but I think what happened was that when we went to a back four, Grimes went to just sit in front of the back four, and Patino was more forward then, that had a bit more of a bit more space. So maybe that's Grimes sits in his role and does what he does so well, and Patino is in front of him. That can do a bit more, and Grimes can get a bit forward when he can. I think that could be dangerous.
Yeah.
So that was exciting.
Maybe comes straight in the next game.
I think he does. I think he has to start the next game with the way he played when he came on. I think worth a mention as well, though, Ginnelly, when he came on, I think he looks really good.
But this is what I was going to say, though. I don't know. It's a second league game that I think he could have done more with the bench, especially when we're on a comeback. Like, you get that momentum, and I know he made 3 changes, but you can make 5 these days. You get that momentum. Do you not want to just bring it all out? Or you're 3-2 down. You're in the momentum now.
Yeah.
Chuck everything on to try and make it happen. Well, we got to lose at that point. And I know he brought on Cullen in the 61st minute. I haven't got the time for the Patino one, and obviously that made a big difference. But Ginnelly was 89th minute, and before that was only 2 subs, and you still could have used another 2 when you got the likes of like Joe-A-On's on the bench, Abdullah if you want a bit of pace, Patterson, and to be fair, if we were lumping it in the box, you could have brought on Cook.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I can't say
Ukrainian striker. MK.
MK could have brought on. I'm gonna need to go and watch that video and learn how to pronounce his name.
Yeah, but no, I think you're right. If you had him in there to have an extra, because we were causing so many problems.
Scored from 2 corners. Why have you not brought? Right, okay, hang on. Patino's deliveries are making some good opportunities here. He's just a tall lad. Get him in the box, give him another head to aim for, and just make some. It was pinball for that second goal. You just wanted to make difficult in the box, and who knows what might happen. I mean, Yates and Perot played 90. Perot played in the game the other day. I know you never want to take Perot off, but it's just resting him for 10 minutes at the end.
He was very, very quiet. Perot was mine all game. I think he probably would have been the one to sacrifice for someone. I think in that moment it probably would have been a good sub. I do agree with you on that one. But but going back to Ginnelly, I know they added on like 9 minutes of injury time. So when he came on in the 89th minute, he had a good 10 minutes. He looked so dangerous. He looked so quick. He was coming from out to in into like the middle channel, and he was causing ructions. He was getting in between the 2 centre halves. There was one instance when he was like, he made a lovely run and he was through on goal, and he had to he had a really difficult touch where the ball's like behind him, and he kind of has to bring it in front of him at speed, and he almost does it, and the defender gets a touch to it, but otherwise he's in on goal. I was really impressed with him. So as bad as it was, him and Patino coming off the bench, I think there was enough to, be optimistic about.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe these new guys like Mikola's not fit or something, and Joe Allen's obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean,
maybe just not up to pace a championship yet. And Janelli even coming on 89, he's only just come back from injury too.
And he scored a belter in the week, didn't he, against Northampton? That goal was brilliant.
I'm sure we'll see more involvement in the coming weeks.
I think we will. But he said himself, didn't he, after the Northampton game, that he's behind everyone else because he was injured in pre-season. He said, I'm behind everyone else in terms of fitness. So, that's going to take time. So a couple of weeks if he's up to speed, and he's already shown flashes of brilliance. So.
Yeah, so lots of, there is positives definitely to take from it. And I'm sure it will keep coming as we go. Last thing I want to say about the game is then they've added a thing onto SofaScore, which is quite nice. I know you don't always like XG, Lee. But
yeah,
I just feel in this game specifically, it shows that maybe it's not as bad as going 3-0 down seemed.
Yeah.
So West Brom's expected goals, so XG, was 1.89.
Scored 3.
And they had a penalty, and you get quite a heavy XG from having a penalty because you basically expected to score it.
Yeah,
it's quite high. So it shows about maybe the element of luck in especially the second goal.
That's what I mean. They didn't offer anything. Like they didn't. That was frustrating to be 3-0 down. They didn't do anything special.
And ours, by comparison, was 2.24.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere. I think it was on Twitter, the EFL stats page, where I think we had like the 4th or the 5th highest amount of XG across the league.
It shows something went well there, and like I said, just need to switch that on a bit earlier and find that a bit sooner. The expected assists, which is also here, same as XG, except like I guess more of like that was a good pass, should have led to a goal. Maybe I guess that's how they're looking at it. And I guess this is where it doesn't account for the penalty, which is maybe the big difference. 0.56 for West Brom. So I mean, if you take a look at their goals, you take the penalty. If you take an XA, which is expected assists, no one's assisting the penalties. You're taking that out of the score, and I'd imagine we had an own goal, so I would say that's taken out of the score as well, because it was kind of like it was an own goal where their player crossed it, our player went in. They crossed it, 3 of our players and went in, so that's probably taken out of the score as well. So it was 0.56 is their expected assists, and ours was 2.37.
Yeah,
so
this says a lot, doesn't it? So really, I did feel like it was unlucky not to come away with a draw, even though it was a poor performance. I think West Brom were quite poor as well. I think it was just bad defending that cost us. But yeah, I think one more thing on the game though before we move on. Like I've seen a lot of people saying, like including some of my own friends, that Duff is hoofball and it's the worst football we've had in ages, and I had some outrageous comments. It's
like the whole Cooper winning versus style argument again in there, but let's just wait until we get into that conversation.
But let's like I said before, I think like this aimless possession football is just not valuable anymore unless you've got
even Pep don't do it, hence the signing of Haaland.
It's exactly unless you've got like that level of talent, you can't play that football.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it all the time anymore, and
the game is moving on.
It took him change to win the Champions League. That's literally how the game is moving on. League.
Exactly, 100%, and this is what I've been trying to say all last year when everyone's like, "Oh, but the football is brilliant." The game is moving on, because how many times did we see, we got 80% possession, we didn't create anything, and then the team gets the ball once and scores with their only shot on target?
Anyway,
we need to be that team.
For the doubters, we still had 58% possession here.
Yeah, exactly, and we were like the fifth team, lowest team for like the amount of long balls or something, behind like Southampton, Norwich, and someone else. So
behind Southampton. Oh, like
so they had less, but not by much.
So 13 shots for Swans against 11 for West Brom, 4 on target for Swans against 3 for West Brom, and then we've got a couple of other stats that are quite interesting. 2 big chances for West Brom, 3 for Swansea. 0 big chances missed for West Brom, 3 for Swansea. So really, we probably didn't deserve to lose the game. One chance hit the woodwork, of course. 13 shots inside the box for Swansea as well.
Yeah.
That's good. Probably most of them got blocked, but like you get in the box, and again shots in the box. This one isn't very good for Rushworth. A new one as well. Goals prevented, minus 1.36. So apparently negative numbers not good. So like they basically expected him to save 1.36 more goals.
Yeah,
which is harsh considering what you see. I guess the own goal one is probably what brings that down. But I just kind of didn't know what was going on, did they? All of them. Anyway, that's enough on that game. We'll move on. I think there's enough positives there to say, look, transition of a manager.
I think so. Let's
there's
just
definitely signs of how it can work. If you can get that last say second half after the 2 goals from West Brom, I guess, whatever time that was, as your normal, then it's going to be decent. But a lot of new players as well. So
yeah,
some
I think as well, there's still bedding in new players still to come in. But also, let's just have an open mind. Let's just have an open mind. Like, we haven't got to play this possession football. Like, that's not the only way to play football.
Yeah,
I think we've had this battle for a number of years now. Like, having 80-90% possession is not the only way to play.
Yeah.
Like, let's just see what he does. And if it gets results, then it gets results.
Yeah. A couple of Swans, ex-Swans. Well, Carl Bartley played, didn't he?
Yeah, Carl Bartley came off the bench, didn't
he? Yeah, he did. And average age of Swans squad was 24.4. West Brom's was 29.1, so a lot less experience. Anyway, let's move on. So we've start talking about the signings now. I said that was the next part of the agenda. We've kind of already talked about Charlie Patino because of his impact in that game. So I'm not really going to speak too much on him. I'm just going to repeat, he's on loan from Arsenal. Apparently was maybe looking for a permanent move away, but I feel like it looks like Arsenal have convinced him to stay with their project a bit longer. We probably benefit from that. I'm not sure we would have signed him permanent.
Yeah.
We'll see how this season goes. Looks like a good acquisition, but we've also made another permanent signing Nathan Tjoe-A-On. I think I've said that right. On a 3-year deal plus 1 extension potentially, which seems to be the normal thing they're doing for these youngsters that are signing at the moment, from Dutch club Excelsior. I said that right?
Excelsior.
I'm so bad.
I think it is. Yeah.
He made 47 appearances for them. He's 21 years old, so he's basically featured over the last 3 to 4 years. But I think last season was his main breakthrough season, where he proper got into the team, which obviously was alerted to other clubs to his potential. And he is a left-footed, left-hand side defender. So we haven't had one. Was Manning left-footed? He probably was, actually.
Yeah, Manning was left-footed, yeah.
But depth there, and we needed one, is what I'm trying to say.
It makes a big difference. It makes massive.
It does make a difference for crossing and stuff. Especially
we had the same last year. We had the same last year because last year we had Manning on that left side, and he was brilliant for us last year. He was causing problems, but we didn't really have a right-sided player.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, the start of this season, we've got 2 right-sided players. One's playing out of position on the left. So hopefully now, with him coming in, we'll have a good balance.
I mean, I don't know if he'll come straight in, but when he's up to speed, I think it's going to be a tricky choice. But the fact he's a left-sided, left-footed player, got to go in his favour, isn't it, if he's going to be decent. And then it's up to Ashby and Key to play for the other position, maybe. I mean, if he's using wing-back so openly in the system, I'd imagine he'll quite often sub the third one on at some point. Rotation and all that. I think, back in the day, it was you never really saw defensive substitutions that often. But I think these days, especially with the wing backs being kind of wingers at the same time, it is more common.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see, because for me, I agree with you. I think he goes straight in on left, and at the moment, on the balance of performances, I think Key has to start on the right.
Yeah, same.
But whether he does that, I got a funny feeling that he'll start Ashby and bring him off like he has been doing.
It could be Key's energy might be good coming on, but I would say at a home game, I'd like to start.
Yeah, it'd be really because I think everybody's probably got their own opinion on this. It'd be really interesting to see. That'd be the first thing that everybody looks for on Saturday. I think is who starts.
Poll up on Twitter. Get a poll up.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that in the week because there's a there's a few positions in there now where there's competition for places. So I think it's which is a good thing. It's a really good thing. Because like I said, if Ashby's not playing very well, like I don't think he has so far, then we've got options that he doesn't play.
Yeah. Okay, some other transfer news then. Oliver and Chan, we know he's left. He's finally been announced by the club. Quite a direct announcement, let's say, where it's just done in it. Just like, let's move on. Obviously, wasn't the best end to the relationship between him and the club. He made his debut before we even announced that he'd left, so says it all. Anyway, good luck to him. Hope it goes well in Turkey. And then some links. So we've been linked with a centre-back who I think prefers the left side of centre-back, called Bashir Humphreys from Chelsea. He's expected to be joining on loan. I don't know too much about him, but I'll try and look him up a little bit more before the next time if he does get announced, so we can talk a little bit more about him. And Reading have been linked with Brandon Cooper. So we're looking at a centre-back, and then makes sense. Maybe Brandon Cooper's like, well, where do I stand if another one comes in? Because I'm already not getting game time. Already not making the bench. I'd even imagine if this guy comes in, where does that leave Carl Norton's place on the bench? But we'll talk about that, I guess, further down the line.
Well, this is another one, like I said, about the fullbacks. Like with him coming in,
he's versatile though, isn't he, Norton? So he's really good to have there.
Yeah, I think Norton's very key to have because he can play. He can play in the middle of the three comfortably. He can play on either side, fullback really.
Yeah.
So he's key to have. But then, like Brandon Cooper, I can understand him going. He's not really had much game time for 2-3 years now. And like I think we said before we came on, he's 23.
Yeah, he's 23.
It's probably time that he looks to move on.
I think Darlin's 24, Cabango's 23, and Wood's 21. So
yeah. So
when does he break through if it's not now?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of had the feeling he was like, he's a youngster trying to break through. But then when we looked at his age, and he's the same age, around as the three that are starting, then it's probably time for him to look to move on. It's a shame because I think like he looked all right when I've seen him play.
Yeah, I think the others are just they're just a little bit ahead. He's had some injuries to set him back, like on his loan spells that maybe didn't allow him to assert what he can give. I think he'd be a late bloomer sort of player that will have to go down the leagues, and then he'll eventually find himself either getting transferred into a club that gets promoted to the Championship or comes up with a club and maybe sticks around at the level then when he's a bit older, but we'll see. Good luck to him. I mean, I don't know if it's a loan or if he's going to go permanent. I just don't know if he does another loan. It could go really well at Reading in League One, and then he does offer competition next year or say like, look, I can be useful. But I don't know. We're looking to bring someone on loan from Chelsea and loan him out.
The issue is this is why I still don't like the transfer window still being open, even though we are bringing players in. We still don't know if players are going to leave. I think we're all quite excited by the work that we have done with the players we have brought in, but it's a bit suspiciously quiet about people going out at the moment, which I don't like.
Well, I was seeing that apparently now that Che Adams is probably going or has gone. I haven't researched fully, but I think someone's after him. That Peru will be Southampton's number one again, but I don't know if that's easy paper talk, because it could easily just be easy paper talk, like all Grime stuff. But then that never that hasn't materialised, and they brought in Flynn Downs. So I don't think they're going to come in
today, didn't they?
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to. I feel like what does Ward-Prowse do for Southampton is probably more for Flynn Downs. People seem to be comparing him to Grimes, but I don't think just because he takes the set pieces, I don't think he does that job. He wasn't doing that job for Southampton in their first game because that Smallbone was.
That's a great signing for them bringing in Flynn Downs. That one hurts a little.
Yeah, so I think if they got Smallbone, he's doing the Grimes role. I can't see him and Grimes playing together.
Yeah, no, I don't think Grimes, but I do still worry about Perot because, you've got Leeds on the weekend. I think couldn't fill a bench, and I'm sure their strikers refused to play. So I'm just expecting one of the teams to come in with a desperation bid at the end. They keep saying they started. Leeds drew the first game, they lost the second game. if they struggle again on the weekend, they haven't got a striker. They'll just think, bloody hell, we need him.
Yeah, I'm obviously concerned about Pro leaving, but I was kind of set up for that anyway. I'd be more hurt if Grimes went because it wasn't expected.
Well, I don't know now because Perot has gone on long enough. So I think if he leaves now, I will be gutted because
I'll be gutted, but I'd still be
why
more
didn't he
gutted
just?
if it's Grimes.
I'd be gutted if he no. But I was prepared for Perot to leave in the summer, but now that he's played, 2 league games and a cup game, he'll probably play again on Saturday, and then for him to go late on, I think that would be quite annoying. Now,
it would be annoying. Don't get me wrong.
There's been rumours about him signing a new contract as well. I don't know if that's true, but
I feel like if he does, it's just a bit of protection for us. I'd imagine. I wouldn't read too much into contract, but it just means he won't.
No, I know, but I mean, at least that means he stays for this season, at least.
Yeah, and don't go for free.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that's all the transfer updates. Update on the game against Bournemouth in the Carabao Cup. Then is it still called Carabao?
Yeah, it's still Carabao.
Carabao Cup. Tuesday, 29th of August, 7:30 p.m. Hopefully, I can't remember what shift I'm on, but I want to go down to that one. 3 up, 3 down. Then Lee, looking at the championship as a whole.
Yeah.
What is your 3 up, 3 down? Start with the 3 up.
Yeah, I think we should. I think Ipswich should get a mention. I think 2 newly promoted team, 2 games,
Ipswich,
2 wins,
top of the league. Ipswich,
top of the league. I think that's worth a mention. I think that's good. From a newly promoted team winning the first 2 games. And especially looking how hard this league is. I mean, I know last year every time we had a midweek 3 of Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, I think there was very few times where a team won all 3. And even now, you're looking 2 games in, there's only 2 teams that have won 2 games. So it's just such is the nature of this league. I think, to come up and win the first 2 games, I think that's quite impressive from Ipswich.
Shout out to Plymouth as well, sitting in 4th on 4 points.
Yeah, a good point away from Watford. I think that's...
after they smashed QPR, yeah.
Huddersfield, I think it was. Oh, Watford beat QPR, yeah, they did, yeah. They smashed them. And then moving on to QPR, I think after they lost 4-0 and got absolutely slated and hammered, and everyone's like, that's it, they're going, and Ainsworth's going to get sacked soon. They go and get an away win at Cardiff, where there was a big expectation from them. Ramsey's homecoming and all that. By all accounts, they were going to roll QPR at home, and they got a good away win.
Had a decent result at Leeds, and I know they bottled it in the end, but it's just back down to reality, I guess.
Yeah, I still think QPR will struggle, but I just think that's a massive win for them after that week, because I think.
Does that mean that's where Cardiff are as well, though?
I don't think you can. This is the thing.
We can't say ourselves, but I'm just saying.
No, I agree with you, because like you said, that was a really good point away at Leeds, but then Leeds lost then against Birmingham, and Birmingham got a good win against Leeds, so our draw against Birmingham doesn't look so bad. So you don't know where teams are going to be, and that's why I was saying about the Swans. Let's just calm down a bit, because fair enough. 6, 7, 8 games in the season. If we haven't won a game, then it's time to start asking questions. But I think you can look at Ipswich. Fair play to them. That's a good start. 2 wins coming up. So
only one team in the league has only conceded no goals as well, and that's Watford.
Yeah, it's just the way the league is. And going on going to the last up, just another win. I think I've been singing their praises now for the last week. Coventry 3-0 against Middlesbrough, playoff teams from last year. I did watch the highlights. I think Middlesbrough had a couple of chances, but to then put them away 3-0 after they lost Hamer in the week as well. They sold Hamer to Sheffield United, didn't they? Yeah. And then to win 3-0, I think, and I was so impressed with them against Leicester. I think they probably should have won that game. But
they're coming down here next weekend, so I hope they have an off day.
That's I'm a bit worried about that. So that's going to be a very, very hard game against Coventry, because I think they're a serious contender this year, from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, they're looking good.
Or maybe they just hit in form at the beginning of the season. You don't know.
Maybe Middlesbrough are bad.
Well, Middlesbrough are desperate for goals, isn't they?
They're the only side that haven't scored a goal in the league.
Thinking the amount of goals they scored last year, that's a bit of a worry.
Because they looked good against us last year. We thought they were the best team in the league at the time.
Yeah. I can't remember who the striker was now.
Crazy league. Downs then. Relegation candidates.
Yeah, relegation candidates. Huddersfield. They've lost 3 games now. Lost first game away at Plymouth. Lost again on Saturday. Lost their cup game. It could be worse. When we think of if people saying the Swans are bad, that's a horrendous start.
Yeah, we did say they'd be down in our predictions.
And Sheffield Wednesday as well. I thought they may do a bit better, but that was a bad result for them against Hull. They lost 4-2 in the end, but they were 4-1 down and they got a consolation goal. So worried for them as well. And again, it's early days, but when you have your relegation candidates, there's a group of relegation candidates, you have to start well, don't you? So for Huddersfield, we'll probably be down there to lose their first 3 games, three competitive games. That's a bit worrying.
Okay. Next.
Yeah, next one. I think we touched on it in the Swans. We were saying about like defending between West Brom and the Swans. I think the defending was atrocious, but I watched the highlights on Sunday, and the defending and goalkeeping across the league was just awful. There were so many poor goals conceded, just so many mistakes. I mean, you look at you watch the Southampton game. Manning dropped a howler for one of Norwich's goals. And there was a few mistakes in there. You talk about Harry Darling's penalty. It was rash. It was the Preston defender just absolutely wiped somebody out for no reason when they're going nowhere in the box.
Yeah.
So I think it's just teams finding their feet early on in the season. But I saw some poor defending across the league really in the highlights.
Yeah. Championship craziness all over, I guess.
Yeah.
And the last one?
Yeah, the last one is probably going to be a down every week. It's officiating again until we get VAR. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the highlights, but the Southampton's equaliser, I think it was like 96th minute penalty they had. It's never a penalty. Absolutely never a penalty. I can't remember what it was. I think it might have been Teller, where he has got goal side of the defender, but he goes backwards to initiate the contact, and he's going down as well. And the defender's just running back towards him, but he goes to the defender and goes down. Then he gives the penalty and he gets on the point. So I think just that's going to be on there every week.
There. I mean, that was that other game though, wasn't it? Was it 4-4?
Yeah, but again, the defending was bloody terrible.
Yeah.
Manning dropped an awful mistake.
When we get going, we'll see. Maybe we can do something. Well, if Duff can get it right, but time will tell. A long way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the championship. I'll catch up with someone from commentary, hopefully, ahead of our next game. And yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It'll be interesting to hear their thoughts after a good start for them, even though they've only got 1 win. Good result again. Good performance against Leicester, I should say. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
We'll have to do our predictions again. We were nowhere near on
we'll have to get a table up. Which one's doing now then? Or
I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, I'll have a think.
Later on, I'll put them up on Twitter.
And I would have touched on before we finish then. Big football news this week is Mr. Tottenham, Harry Kane, finally left the club for £86 million to Bayern Munich. What do we think of this?
Yeah, I think it had to happen, didn't it? But it was just really funny that he went in his first game. They lost a final.
3-0 as well.
But it was a good story because I think even if he would have won a trophy in his first game, they would have been like, oh look, he's gone and won it, and then they lost it. It's like, oh, he's the curse. He's not going to win a trophy. But
imagine
I think when they get going, I think they'll go far in the Champions League. I think with the team they got and Kane, once he gets going, I think that'll be dangerous. Because look what he's done for Spurs for years, like with the goals he scored, and Spurs, have not been very good in the last 2 years in particular, or 3 years.
I guess you can't blame him going, but do you think Bayern Munich was the move he really wanted?
I don't think so. I think he had to go out of England because I don't think they wanted to sell him to another club. I think they were desperate to get him out.
Yeah.
This year before he went on a free to another team in the Premier League.
I think he missed the boat on like a Real Madrid.
Yeah, I do. He should have gone. I think he should have gone after they lost the Champions League final. That was his time to go and get, have a good, 2-3 years at his prime. And he probably would have done a lot more damage. I think he still will, but he's 30 now. I think. Were they replacing
Benzema with? Because that could have been.
Yeah, I don't know. was talking
I
about
haven't seen
Mbappe,
who they've
isn't it?
signed.
But I don't know if that's
Next
going
year
to
that will
happen.
be on a free, won't it?
Yeah.
Because
So maybe they're
apparently
just holding
Mbappe's
out.
not going to play for PSG all year. I mean, one of the best players in the world not playing all year. Is that really going to happen?
I don't think so. Something will happen. It's ridiculous. He probably will play when he'll end up going this year, but it's just ridiculous.
And where does that leave Tottenham then? Harry Kane's departure.
I don't know. I watched them yesterday. I don't know. They are gonna miss him, but they got a good point away at Brentford. They looked all right, but I think over the Richarlison's not the answer.
Mash was saying that like 5 years ago.
Well, yeah, but Brentford beat a lot of big teams at home, didn't they?
I'm not discrediting Brentford, but like they were in Champions League final and they're like
no,
Brentford.
No, you are right to be fair, but it's always a banana skin to go. But I wonder what I'm saying is I think the squad that they have now, that was a good point against Brentford, which is
Richarlison
worrying.
Needs to step up, doesn't he? And
no, he's not the answer, though, is he?
He's not the answer, but like you lead in the line for Brazil, he's got to do more than he did last year.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that pans out, but I don't think I don't think it's going to work.
But I'm not saying he's going to replace Kane. I'm just saying he needs to do more than what he did last year to try and fill some of the hole. I think several players need to step up to fill the hole of Kane's goals. Son didn't have a good year last year, so
no, he didn't.
Maybe he can step up. I wonder if we're going to see a repeat of when they spent the Gareth Bale money.
Yeah. I don't know if they got a replacement lined up. I don't know if they're going to spend that money. So
he's left it quite late, though, isn't he, to like try and replace a player like Kane.
Yeah, they'll come in for Perot now.
Yeah, but if Spurs come in for Perot and they've just got 86 million for Harry Kane, you're asking a lot, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's like when they paid 30 million for Sissoko off Newcastle or whatever it was.
God, yeah. Crazy money.
Yeah. Anyway, interesting. We'll call it a day there. So thanks everyone for listening as always. Give us your score predictions for Huddersfield. Coventry in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Spotify, thank you very much. Leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed us. Would really very much appreciate that. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe as well. We are on a good bit of momentum at the moment. I think we're on like 613. So spent all last season trying to get to 500. And now, it's going well. So thank you all for your support. And if you are not subscribed, it's easy to do so. YouTube is just connected to a Google account. If you've got Gmail or any of them, it's all connected. You sign in with the same account. Just click the big red button and it will give you a notification as well if you subscribe to us when we upload and stuff. And if you want an instant notification every time we upload, click the bell and you won't miss any videos then as well. So thank you all for your support. Leave a thumbs up as well because that helps push us out to more Swans fans, and we shall catch you in the next video. So have a good one.
See you soon.